Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. It's exactly 12 minutes after 9 o'clock Central African time. We cross over to Hyderabad and we'll be talking with Zahid Qadri. He is the founding member of an NGO called Help Hyderabad. Now, we're talking to him about a very traumatic and sad situation which killed at least 49 people and 300 people were injured after fire and explosions hit a container depot near the port city of Chittagong in southeastern Bangladesh. Zahid Qadri, Salaam alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum assalam.
What caused the blaze? What information has come through after this devastation?
Uh, the exact causes will probably will come out once the investigation is done by the authorities over the next couple of weeks. The preliminary information seems to be that hydrogen peroxide was in one of the containers that was brought in. Though hydrogen peroxide by itself is not flammable, but it is an oxidizer, and it was in close proximity with the containers containing shipping and clothes meant for export. And I think because of the high temperatures in summer, some sort of an accident seems to have taken place.
Okay, so when the accident took place, were the people in the warehouse, the 49 people that were killed and the 300 injured, or was the factory closed at the time? And were these people just in the immediate vicinity that were killed and hurt?
This is a transit stop from the Chittagong port, so it's about 40 kilometers. It's a storage yard spread over 21 acres for containers that arrive in Chittagong. So the 40 people weren't immediately in the vicinity, but the issue with hydrogen peroxide is once it begins to burn, it produces poisonous gas and toxic gas. A lot of the firefighters, in fact, this is the largest number of firefighters that Bangladesh has lost in a fire accident, was probably because of inhalation of toxic gas. And the number of people in the immediate vicinity were probably five or six, is what the immediate reports suggest.
How safe is it for people in the immediate environment right now? Because I should imagine those gases haven't dissipated as yet. So, is it safe for them to try and go in and do some rescue work, or best, they wait for a while till it's safe to go in and see what can be salvaged, etc.?
I think it's an open air area, so they are trying to air it out from what I've heard. Firefighters and the army has also been called in. So the army is trying to sandbag the area so that toxic substances do not seep into the water and into the shoreline, which is very close. But in the immediate aftermath, I think it definitely needs a disaster management team to go in with hazmat suits and check out the suitability of the air before larger relief measures and relief personnel can be brought in.
So obviously, government is going to try and keep as many civilians out of the immediate area for now, simply because of the hazardous gases, etc., that are still emanating from that area. But that does leave a lot to be said for the army personnel and possibly other firefighters and relief workers that need to be in the area to do what is necessary, possibly forensic workers, etc. How they're going to be protected. You mentioned hazmat suits. Are there sufficient such equipment to prevent these people to be exposed to these gases?
I really can't speak on the number of suits that are available and the exact number of people deployed, but however, I'm given to believe that the area has been cordoned off for civilians, and a protective area after that has also been cleared of civilians. As to the number of people from the firefighting teams and the armies that are working there, I'm not aware of how many hazmat suits are there and whether it is what is the exact progress. I wouldn't like to comment on that.
Okay, is this the first time that the area is experiencing such a disaster? Do you know if in the past they've had similar incidents? And what do you believe is going to be done to mitigate this further? And I know that you are the founding member of an NGO, which obviously is called Help Hyderabad. I'd like to talk about that a little later on, but for now, let's just look at this disaster and what else is going to be done to mitigate further damage to the environment. That's also a huge issue, is it not?
Certainly, it is a very serious issue. And like I said, the first reports that came in yesterday said the army is trying to sandbag it and do that. But other than leaching chemicals into the water, there is the entire issue of chemicals leaching into the ground and the soil in that area. It's a complex issue that's going to take a large team of disaster management specialists to work on it and understand what are the groundwater levels, how much chemical has leached into it, various other things need to be looked into. The earlier question that you asked me with regard to the number of accidents that have taken place, highly unfortunate, but in the last 3 years, there have been back to back to back three fire accidents, 2019, 20. I think about 70 odd people died in a fire in an old apartment complex. In 2021, there was a factory explosion in which about 54 people died, and now in 22, we have this very sad incident. Um, I think the entire issue with fire services and disaster management and its implementation on the ground is something the government needs to look at on a priority basis. It is having such frequent incidents, and there have been three or four more incidents in the immediate past also. So these kind of things need to be implemented on the ground. The rules are there, but I think implementation is lax. Even in the present accident, I'm given to believe that though this yard was known to handle shipments of chemicals, etc., but a segregation policy was not followed. It is required under disaster management that chemicals are stored separately. There is a separate fire evacuation plan, an on-site firefighting team if you're going to handle chemicals in large quantities. All of these things seem to be lacking in this particular incident.
Okay, that brings to mind the disaster that happened in Lebanon not too long ago, and one wonders that why does the safety measures are not being implemented and obviously policed all of the time, because we're talking about lives and environment damage to environment as well. That being said, does Hyderabad have the infrastructure, have the expertise to deal with the situation, or will they be dependent on foreign aid in, human resources from foreign countries' expertise to come and assist in this situation and similar such incidences?
No, in India, the National Disaster Management Authority, which was set up in 2007, 2008, has come a long way and has separate verticals under it for handling of natural disasters, of chemical explosions, and various other things that come across. We've seen them make great strides, and the organization is coming along very nicely. They have state-based units in every state as well. Their
So
preparedness.
sufficiently resourced.
Yes, they are. The National Disaster Management Authority has sufficient resources and is almost continuously upscaling its facilities every year.
That's great to hear. So let's talk about your NGO. The founding member of Help Hyderabad. How long are you in operation, and what's your foundation all about?
Help Hyderabad has been working for 22 years now. We are focused on three areas primarily: medical aid, like we had the COVID crisis, so we were running a free COVID hospital. Then there is the education aid to backward communities, and then we have skill training for those for employability. These are our three areas of focus. From time to time, if there is a natural disaster or something like that, we try to pitch in as best as we can in that.
How big is your organization?
In terms of number of
Manpower?
people
Hmm.
working, There are
Yes.
about 70 employees working with us and
And
volunteers.
I presume they go out in the field. Are you going to be involved in the current disaster, or do you believe it's too risky for, for your personnel?
No, one, we won't be able to do much because this is something that needs to be handled at a government level for now. There is a post-disaster stage in terms of rehabilitation and bring those affected back to regular life. But till now, we have received no request from the government to assist in any way.
Okay, may you grow from strength to strength and continue upskilling and supporting people with um, help Hyderabad. These type of NGOs are sorely needed all around the world. Thank you indeed for your time, and we do hope and pray that that part of the country does get back to normal sooner rather than later, so that people can get their lives back on track. Just before I do leave you, obviously there's going to be government support and intervention for all of the lives that have been lost, the lives that have been devastated, the families that have been left behind by the victims. I should imagine housing, etc., would be made available as well.
I believe the government has announced yesterday some kind of compensation package of about 11 or 12,000 dollars for those who've lost their lives, and something a little lesser than that. I think about $8,000 for those who are injured in that. Uh, this a compensation package actually in terms of money does not really work. Over the years, we have seen that what is required is a couple of years of assistance to that particular family, and that need not necessarily be in monetary terms, but it needs to be in terms of getting the next of kin a job, skilling them for that job, ensuring that they are able to provide for the family, because just handing out a dole never works in any situation.
Absolutely, the dole then, I mean, that money just seems to vanish overnight, so to speak. And you are on the right track when you say upskilling. Are you going to be involved in trying to get the government to look at upskilling and support for affected families in the years to come? Because you're correct, that $8,000 won't hold them in good stead for a very long time. Whereas, the old adage, teach if you feed if you give a man a fish for the
Teach him to
what
fish.
does the yeah, teach him to fish, he'll be able to feed himself for the rest of his life. Will you be involved in any way?
Uh, we will be involved at an advocacy stage, because one of the things we Help Hyderabad as an organization has been doing over the past few years is advocating on various issues, including human rights. So, with regard to rehabilitation of victims of either a accident or of natural disasters, we do advocate to the government strongly that the policy of just handing out money and leaving it at that, like you rightly said, the money just evaporates, and the family is left back to square one. So we'll definitely be involved in the advocacy part of it.
Good on you, Zahid Qadri, a founding member of an NGO called Help Hyderabad. Nice talking with you this morning, and our condolences to the families that have been affected. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Indeed.
make it easy for one and all, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum
Ameen.
to you.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair.
It is exactly 9:26. News and views right here on Salam Media. Coming up on the show in a short while is Faisal Isub from Bush Explorers, looking at the issue on global plastic waste.